Hey, good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, wherever you happen to be. It's Shane here with the Rogue Traders and the weekly Gravity live stream. You'll notice someone is missing to my right. Richard is in Miami, and I thought he would join us, but it's extremely early in the morning in Miami. And, he was probably partying all night. So he won't be joining us, I don't think, today. So we'll have a little bit shorter session because I actually need him to log in. He's got the code to log into some sites we normally use, like Immersive Finance. That's fine. No big deal. We'll carry on without him. There's things to talk about for sure. There's a lot of interesting developments with the Gravity platform. What is it? It's the 26th of February today. Yeah. So some developments came out in the last week or so, which I'd like to talk about, which are really cool. We'll explore those, and we'll take a look at the price of Bitcoin. For anyone trading crypto, any crypto, all the major coins, we had one hell of a move yesterday. And if we look at the equities, things like Circle and Coin, boy, those were monster moves yesterday, monster moves. And the overall market was very, very strong with some big names moving like Palantir and a few others. Tesla had a big move up and then kind of pulled back. But we'll take a look at those. Why don't we take a look at those right now just to get an idea of what happened yesterday in the trading markets in across the board. So NVIDIA was a big event. Ooh, that's a bright screen. Wow. Had a big had their earnings call. What did we see? Well, we saw a pump and dump. It went right back practically to unchanged, even though they beat and they blew out guidance. If we take a look at Circle, where are we here? 1 day. Let's go to the 5 day. Look at this move. Just monster move, monster move. I was long at, I think, $69 yesterday, and I sold it for like 71 or something, because it wasn't a lot of shares. Quick scalp. It moved another 10, 15 bucks. Are you kidding me? I got to learn to hold on a little better. Here, let me get rid of this. So let's take a look at Coin as well, because Coinbase also moved. And a lot of it had to do with this Jane Street news. I don't want to get into it, but Jane Street, hey, as an outside observer, they get into a lot of shenanigans. We know they're in big trouble. If you remember, in India, they had some big problems, and there's accusations that they were manipulating the crypto markets. And if they got removed, crypto would shoot up. And I think that had a lot to do with that move up yesterday. I was long a few names yesterday. I was long Palantir. I was long a few other ones. I wonder actually, maybe AMD. I can't remember what I was trading yesterday in total. But the point is we had a really strong day, a strong up day. And we had crypto move really strong. So here's Bitcoin. Let's take a quick look at ETH, because I don't usually trade ETH too much anymore. I used to only trade ETH. Not a surprise. The chart looks the same. I could look at Solana. I could look at all these things, and they're all going to look about the same. So, geez, ETH went from sort of 1830 to 2076. So that's a pretty good move. Let's take a look at how we're trading this. It wasn't. I feel sorry for crypto traders, especially hodlers and long. Like, this is the worst looking chart ever. Look, and we kept coming down here into the mid 60s, back up to high 60s and 70, and then a bitter disappointment, and then up in a bitter disappointment. This is a big move. And in fact, I had a long position around 68, and I got stopped out, I think, around 64, 63.8, something like that. Because I said, hey, if he wants to go down, it goes down. And an interesting thing Richard was mentioning, he was talking to some people in Miami. He's at a conference there. He's not just partying on the beach. He's at a big conference there, and he's talking to a lot of big wigs, and he's talking to guys from BNB and Binance and all these things. A lot of guys in the space are really saying that if we go down, I know a lot of people talk about the historical pullbacks in Bitcoin. And if this is going to jive with previous historical pullbacks, we could be looking at mid 30s. And that might be true. Could we go down to, 30s? Sure. Anything's possible, right? It's trading. But a lot of these guys were saying that technically from their perspective, they look at mid 50s to 58 being the bottom. All right, take it with a grain of salt, right? Because anything can happen. So we were caught. In this big move down here where we're thinking, oh shit, if this thing breaks, especially through 60, it could wick down to 52. We know how Bitcoin gets, right? It go down to 40. Who knows? That might just be it, and then right back up. Now we had this news yesterday which pumped it up to 70,000, maybe went a little higher. Not on gravity, and we've pulled back a little bit. So we pulled back about $1,000 since last night, but we're holding up here right now. Now, if the pattern holds, what it's been doing is every time it gets any strength, it falls back down. Now, we did sell some call spreads right up here for March 6th, expiring the end of next week. Hopefully, I'll get out of those. It was a 72,000 call spread, debit spread. So that means I sold the 70 and bought the 72 as protection to limit losses if it goes up. And I did roll the 70s up to 71. So it's a tight spread. It's $1,000 spread. And I took that lost value, because when you roll up, you're going to lose. And I threw it out to the end of March. I probably sold some 78s or something. I can't remember. It wasn't a big trade, just a few contracts. Because right now, this has been tough trading. If we break up here, we start ripping through the 70s, okay, all bets are off. Maybe we go up to 82 or 80 or 85. I don't know, right? And it might take some time to do that. It could happen over a month or two. But if the pattern holds, if this Jane Street thing blows over, well, we might just kind of come back and just bounce around in this range. And that's kind of what I'm expecting. Again, I always expect ranges to hold until they don't. And when they don't, you get out or you play that side of it. And hopefully it's not a big breakout. So if I draw a line kind of down here, bottom of the range, and then sort of the top of the range up here, this is kind of loosely the range we're in. Want to break up above these 70, 71, 72 and really move? Great, you can play that breakout. But let's look at the past, what happened, right? So what were we talking about? We had all these calls, all these weekly calls were bounced around. I said, here, on this day, I said, well, I expect it to go back up here. I had a long position, and I'd sell it at the top of the range unless it breaks down. If it breaks down, here's my stop where I'll either get out of the position and or short. Depends on your tolerances, your risk, how aggressive you want to be, because the range will hold until it doesn't. And when it doesn't, you take your hit or you flip the other way. In this case, it was a big move down. Now, I was not short. I took the hit. I've been very hesitant to be short, and that was the wrong call. I should have been more aggressively short, but that's okay. That's the way you go. Some things you'll play more aggressively short, other things you won't. And I think a reason why I was a little hesitant to be short is obviously we've had a massive bull run. We just came from 125,000 for crying out loud just a few months ago. So to be shorting down here seems it may be overextended. Bitcoin's a different animal. Plus, the overall markets just keep banging out new highs. You don't really want to fight that. Yes, it's always going to reverse. There's always going to be down moves, even in an uptrend. So we'll see what happens with Bitcoin. I understand it's been really tough for a lot of people, and I've heard a lot of people complaining. A lot of funds have lost money in the last month or 2 months trading Bitcoin just because it was a little bit difficult to trade, and you'll go through those periods with any asset. Now, let's quickly just take a look at the liquidation. It's so bright, isn't it? It's like the sun on my face. Liquidation heat map. Now, this is for 24 hours, and you can find this if it's your first time watching us on CoinGlass. You can go to these liquidation heat maps. It just kind of shows you his max pain, right? And you see the heavy yellow line. That's where most liquidity is. And if you hover over here, we've got about $43 million worth up at, let's say 70,000, 69.7. Kind of makes sense. Down below, we've got some at 67, all through 65, but this isn't anything heavy. It's nothing extraordinary. Now, I don't read a lot into the 24 hours. I like to look at the 3-day, 1 week for, oh, really? Oh, that's strange. So, what's happening here? Okay, thank you very much. So, can I, here, let me continue with Google. What is this? Oh my God, sorry about this. Maybe it's not going to let me look at it. No. I don't log in, so can't I just continue with Google? That's not my email. Okay, hang on. Let me see if it lets me log in. Okay. Okay, so let's go to CoinGlass. That's the max pain. I want to look at the heat map. Let me just go to. Well, hang on. Is max pain? No, that's the max pain chart. That's the different. Hang on. Liquidation map. Is that it? No, that's not it. Let's not worry about it. There was nothing there. I had looked earlier, nothing there. What I did want to show you was the options max pain. And this was kind of interesting because if we look for this Friday, which is tomorrow, right, they're saying max pain is 75,000. Boy, that seems super unlikely, right? But so we want to look at the monthly expiry. So out at the end of March, you can see March 26th, March 27th, 82,000. That would be a monster move, right? If we moved up to 82,000, I mean, we're moving up 20K. Anything's possible. If that happens, there'll be a lot of aggressive adjustments, which would lend itself to the move up because Bitcoin was so weak for so long as it was coming down here, just a week. A lot of people were selling calls here, me included, not crazy heavily because I was scared of a reversal. But what's going to happen if this price starts to move up, right? All these people who are short calls are going to have to buy those calls back, which pushes the price up, and resell them higher or sell puts or spell iron condors or whatever they're going to do, whatever option strategy they got going on, right? So they're going to have to also be hedging with futures. So if you're short calls, if you don't want to have too much exposure, you're going to buy futures to hedge that risk off, which is going to help push the price up. So anything is possible. If we got up to 82 in a month, ooh, mama. I would have to be rolling positions, but I'd be aggressively selling high 80s, low 90s if there was any value in those. Obviously, if it happens mid-March, there's not going to be a lot of value in options that are $10,000 higher expiring in 2 weeks. Anyways, let's not get too much into options here because Gravity still doesn't have them. But let's take a look at some really exciting stuff on Gravity that you will really enjoy. So they've added, so we've got this Pax Gold position. We've had this position for a little while now. You can see we're up about $600 on it. I was hoping to buy more. I should have some buy orders down here. They're just not seeing them. Sometimes it just takes a little bit to load. That's fine. We've got the Pax Gold, but what else do we have? Well, we've got the gold, so the XAU. So if you're trading currencies and stuff, you'll recognize XAU as the gold contract. So gold USDT. They've also got silver, platinum, and palladium. So they got into the metals, right? So if you're on Gravity, you're not just stuck with crypto. You can expand yourselves out into the metals, which is exciting because it's exciting now. But metals were boring as hell for years, right? Sometimes they don't do anything. But in the last few months, obviously, silver, gold, and the other metals, palladium and platinum, have been really moving around a lot. So that's pretty cool. Now, and last week, and here's the update I wanted to tell you, is they've added 3 equities, right? So you can trade Tesla. And here's that move I was talking about yesterday. Remember I said it went up to 420 or something like that? And there it is, right around, on my trading software I use for equities, it did hit 420 and change, but here not quite. And then it had a pull back up, and it settled out of March 415. What else we got? We got Robinhood. I trade Robinhood about twice a year. I don't really like trading Robinhood too much, but look at this move it made yesterday, man. 73 to 77. That's a monster move. So what else we got? And they got Intel, I think. Yep. So three added. I haven't spoken to their support team, so I don't know if they're going to be adding other equities, but I assume so. Why not? They'll just start with these ones to start with. So that's pretty cool. You're able to sort of dabble in these other traditional markets without opening up, going through the KYC of brokerage accounts and all those things. So how are we going to do this? What are we going to do with this? Well, I trade Intel maybe once a month, depending on what's going on. Sometimes it can be a little bit of a pig. Well, a lot of these things can be pigs, but when they move, right? So they're giving you exposure to a few different sectors here. So obviously Tesla technology, it's combined with SpaceX and all the things that Elon Musk has going on. We got Hood, so that's a financial services, a brokerage, and they got Intel chips, right? So they're slowly, you can get a little bit of exposure to each of these industries. Maybe they'll add financial services. Maybe they're going to add other things in the future. I don't know. We'll see. So what I'm going to do is, hopefully I will remember when I'm trading, I'm going to use this more for swing trades. So if Intel just gets hammered down, and we don't have a lot of data here because this is when they started, so it's not like we can see what happened over the last month or 2 or 6 months or whatever. So when I'm trading my regular stuff, I'm going to be looking for more swing trades in these other positions. Let's just say I identify $41 as a great area to buy it. Well, I'll start buying there, and maybe I will use this account to scale in. I don't mind scaling in for longer term trades if I'm buying at levels that seem to be intelligent levels. I don't scale in just willy-nilly at any level. So build a position, and maybe I'll hold it for a few days or a few weeks or whatever, and I'll have specific price targets. So I'm looking forward to trading those as well, and hopefully I'll remember to put those trades on when I see those conditions develop and those trades develop. So I think that's pretty damn exciting stuff. I'm quite happy about that. Let's go back to the Bitcoin. So I've just said those are favorites. So I did say that this would be a slightly shorter session because my partner's not here. We had a ton of stuff to talk about, the technicals, and I saw he just messaged me. He's like, I'm sorry, I didn't wake up in time. That's okay. That's okay. Let's let him have his fun in Miami, and when he's back, we'll have a really good session and we'll get deep into it. What's my plan this week? Well, it's a tough one. I got to tell you, it's a tough one on Bitcoin. I think what I'm going to do is, again, I always trade the range until the range breaks. So if we get a pull back down to here, I think you got to buy it. You got to buy it. If it wants to break down below 60, then I'll dump it. But I'll look to buy it, low to mid 60s and then sell it high 60s. That's what I'm going to do. Do I want to play a breakout to the upside? Yes, I do. But I think it's going to depend on the catalyst. So we had this Jane Street kind of news yesterday, and we had all these, Circle and Coin really moving a lot. So far, it's petered out, but I think that I'd be okay accumulating a long position as it goes back up, with the idea that we might get back up to that max pain level up around 82. That could be a really good target, and it might be a month in the making. I'm a little bit annoyed that I got taken out of my long at 83, 84 down there, but that's the way she goes. It wasn't a big position. But what can you do, right? That's trading. So that's my plan. So let me just write here. Let me put my arrow on here just so I can hold myself accountable. So my plan is to buy here that was supposed to be a linking arrow. And then what I'll do is I'll sell there, right? Wait for this, and I'll just trade that range. If we break out, I'll put it sloper. A sharp slope, a sharper angle there, because I don't expect to just go straight up to 82 unless there's some, Trump comes out and says that Bitcoin's now a reserve currency or something. Okay, fine, it'll go to a gazillion. But if it does break out, I'm happy to accumulate long, and this is the opposite of fading. So some people trade like a martingale strategy, for example, where let's say they bought a little bit long here, comes down, they double position, comes down, they double that position, they double that position, and they end up getting quite a large position at a fairly good price, right? And that's the martingale. Well, you can pyramid trade, and that's when you are in a trade that's going really well for you. So let's say you're here and you're thinking, no, I think if it goes down, I'm just going to be short. You could take a little bit short here. As it goes down, you short more. So you do 1 unit, 2 units, 3 units, 4 units, and you end up having a larger position as it goes for you. Obviously, your average price comes down, and then you leave a trailing stop in behind. We might want a pyramid on the way up if you are convinced that, hey, you think this thing's going back to the 80s. Well, if it breaks, you buy just a little bit. If it keeps going, you buy a little bit more. Keeps going, you buy a little bit more. And you just keep buying in that direction. And what you do to guard yourself, so just in case it drops all the way back down to here, you don't get smoked, well, you put a trailing stop order in behind you. That could be an idea. So this is what I'm thinking. I'm just going to play the range, which I think is the most likely outcome over the next week or two. But who knows? This news might have some real credibility to it. And if this price, if everybody thinks that this price has really been manipulated down, we could get a bounce back up. And of course, Bitcoin is always subject to news, geopolitical events. We still have the Iran war or strikes potential happening. That hasn't been resolved yet. So, there are, geopolitical things cooking that could really affect the price of Bitcoin. So you always got to be prepared for that eventuality, and that's why you want to use stop orders if you don't want to get smoked. All right. I think that's it for today. Again, apologies, Richard couldn't join me, but hey, that's okay. We'll catch up with him next week. He'll still be away. I think he'll be in New York next week, but hopefully he'll manage to log in. Other than that, happy trading, everyone, and we will catch you next week.